border, you go through customs, they have to check our passports, our visa, and as soon as we land, Lynn's texting her brother Hal, right here, let him know that we landed. When we finally got out there was about 2,000 people, I would estimate, waiting to see their relatives. And it's like a rock concert. There's so much excitement. Lynn's family goes back to where to look for us when we came out, and we see it. And this is the first time in the factory. Really this box here, they're U-Haul boxes, medium-sized boxes. Each passenger is allowed up to 100 pounds of check-in luggage. So the night before, Lynn and I have a tradition. Every time we go to Vietnam, we have a scale. We measure it. We put more stuff in it. We measure it until it's 49.999 pounds. And then we seal it up in plastic because these packages go through a rough trip by the time they get there. And sealing it in plastic wrapping packages kind of together so that nothing gets lost. So there's two boxes here that weigh under 50 pounds each, and then there's two boxes over here you can't see. We had 200 pounds of things to take over to the family. So what do we take over there? Well, Lynn takes anything that she thinks is going to make her family happy. That would be clothes, toys, skincare products for her sister and sisters-in-law. For the men, it's usually Zippo lighters. Yeah, those are like gold over there in Vietnam.
Jello.
Yeah, her mom, we bring Jello, and what was the other one here? Gum. Why Jello and gum? Vietnam gets most of their products from China. And China is known for cutting corners when it comes to putting quality materials and food. So getting dry packaged food from the United States is everyone's dream over there. So
Let me interrupt something real quick. Technical issue.
We're having technical issues, everyone.
Okay, we're back on.
Yeah, let me go through who all these people are. Yours truly. This is her brother Kung, her younger brother Kung, who works on the farm. This is Thao, who lives in Ho Chi Minh. He's like the technical wizard. Anytime you have he's the only younger brother. And he's the one who, when I said younger here, what I meant was out of the six, he's one of the younger brothers.
Okay, he's not her younger.
Right.
Okay.
So this is the youngest one in the family. This is her niece, Nan, who's 16. I've known Nan since she was 2, and now she's taller than Lynn. And that's Lynn's sister. Her name's Jang. This is Tan. He's her brother, also named Jang's son. This is her brother, Hoon, and this is her mom. And so this photo is really neat because it has all of her siblings. None of them had seen her in 5 years, and they all made an effort to be there at the airport to greet us. So from there, back in the day when I first met Lynn, we would all get in a motor scooter convoy to drive back to her mom and dad's house, which took about 2 hours because motor scooters have dedicated lanes that they drive in and the speed limit's lower. But things have gotten better for them economically, and this young man here, he now has a vehicle that comfortably seats 9 people or 8 adults in it. And more important than that, it has air conditioning. So we're landing there at midnight, and you'd think even in a hot, humid part of the world, midnight should be cooler. No. When you got out there, it was like a wall of heat just hit you in the face. So we get in his van, me and Lynn, her mother, her brother, her brother's wife, Tom, and their baby Cookie. We all drove back together in comfort in that van, and everybody else drove back in motor scooters. So we had like a whole contingent of people driving back. And I didn't realize this or think about this until I was doing this preparing for this presentation, but when we were flying over Alaska and we had the boxes of goodies and gifts, I kind of felt like we were Santa Claus. Because when we landed, oh, this shows kind of the route. Well, we don't need to talk about it. This was the route to her parents' house. And her parents lived real close to this lake. This is all rural area. And there were two like villages, Noya and Soine, that's where we would go to shop or eat or go to the groceries or something like that. But back in the day, I don't even remember back in the day, what? Pam, help me out. Back in the day, Vietnam, Santa Claus. It'll come to me. Appreciate your all's patience. Yeah. Well, we'll get there. I appreciate your all's patience with me. Exactly. Well, I am retirement age, Mary. Come on. So this is a satellite shot of her family's land. This is her mom and dad's house. She has a brother that lives about 50 meters away, and then this is a cow barn. And then she has a house for her sister's family there and a house for one of her brother's family right there. And so it's all like real close. And her mom and dad's house has an open door policy where any of the kids and grandkids can come and go anytime they want. It's kind of like the central hub for their family's activity. I'm sorry? Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and get to that since you asked. I've got pictures of what they plant. They plant a lot of vegetables and fruits. And they raise cows and chickens and goats. All of those guys are going to make an appearance. Yeah. Well, the chickens are all around you, but you don't want to become friends with any of them because you might be eating one for dinner like 30 minutes later. Yeah. So, yeah, they eat the chickens. So here we are after we got there. The first thing you do when you get there is you take a shower. And then you put on some clean clothes. And then they had a huge meal for us. This shows the vehicle her brother has. You'll see Coca-Cola's prominent there. For Tet, they had the Coca-Cola cans with a dragon on it, and then some Vietnamese Happy New Year expressions on it, which was pretty cool. And this was a meal that they had for us and a bunch of her other nieces and nephews. It's one of the motor scooters that they used. And here's Cookie. The first time she's seen me, I think it's the first time she's ever seen a Caucasian person. So in addition to like, who is this new person at my grandma and grandpa's house, it's like I've never seen anyone that looks like you before. So she's really checking me out there. It has a happy story though, because now when we do video calls, she asks for me to do these children's songs and dances with her. Yeah. It's really cute. All right, so does anybody have any other questions right now? We're getting ready to go to chapter 2.
So you get there around midnight, 2 hours. So it was this big meal there, like in the middle of the night?
Yeah. And her family was so happy to see her. Well, and me too, I guess. I don't know. They were up to about 5 a.m, partying and celebrating and opening the gifts. I tried to go to bed around 3 o'clock, which was 3 p.m. our time. Remember, they're 12 hours ahead. So it was like a big celebration when she got home. Any other questions? Yeah, Mary?
So is it when they stay prepare all the food?
No, the team. Everybody asks if we cook Vietnamese food here. We do not. The reason we do not is because you need an army of people to prepare for hours and hours and hours. In addition to needing special ingredients, which they're pretty exotic and we don't have a lot of them. So the team of women were there for hours and hours and hours. And then they came. Her dad stayed there to guard the house. Because unfortunately, they've had a lot of commercial development near where they live out in the country. And with commercial development come more crime. They've had dogs that have been stolen and chickens that have been stolen. So someone has to stay home at all times. Laura, do you have a question? Or okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So now we're going to talk about Tet, the Asian New Year. And this shows some of those lucky money envelopes that you all have. You're all welcome to take those home with you and take that money home with you too. This makes a cool bookmark, if nothing else. But part of the Tet tradition is on New Year's Day, you give other people, family members, relatives, people you care about, lucky money. The idea is that this money will turn into something really lucky, fortunate, prosperous for you the rest of the year. We'll get to it in a few more slides, but what a lot of the men do is they gamble it. They hope to parlay it into even larger amounts of money. And the idea is if you win at gambling like that day, that bodes well for the whole rest of the year. So anyway, all of you, that's authentic Vietnamese money in those envelopes. Pam pointed out that you could actually go to a Vietnamese market in Louisville and spend it there. This is just a Vietnamese calendar. One of her neighbors had it. I asked if I could have that because it was like real pretty and colorful. Red and yellow and gold are real prominent colors, and they have particular significance. The red represents the gold represents like wealth and prosperity. The red has a meaning too. Let me get to that. I should know that. The red symbolizes good luck and success. So you'll see a lot of red there. We went to a market one day, and these were just some of the Vietnamese decorations. You know, you buy them, and then you take them home and decorate your house. Another major component of Tet is to have flowers, especially red and yellow flowers. And so the first couple of days we were there, we went to a market to buy flowers to bring home. And again, this is her mother, her niece, her sister, Lynn, me, and Kuhn. Those are just some of the flowers. Yeah.
What are you taking all these pictures with? Did you use your phone or did you take a camera?
I brought my digital camera. Some of them are with my phone, and then her brother has an iPhone 15 that has a wide-angle lens, and the picture quality is a little bit better. So he took some photos we'll see later on too. Of one of the excursions I went on, I didn't want to mess with the phone because it's like I'm thinking so much about not losing it or not breaking it that it's a hassle mentally. So I just deferred to her brother. So we'll get to that. But no, these I took with my camera. Oops, sorry, too fast. That's her niece, Nan, on the left, and Lynn, and some more flowers. These are some flowers we bought to bring back to her home. Yeah. I don't know what those were. They look like, the flower looks like a mum. Yeah. And they're big and they're heavy. No, I brought some flowers, some seeds back. Yeah. But yes, they did. They did. Yes, they did. So there was like a team of guys that would load it up on that wagon, and then it got pulled by a trailer to her parents' house. Yeah. And so this was it's called an apricot tree that blooms at this time of the year, and it has the yellow bloom, so it has extreme significance for Tet. And this is the front of their house and all the other flowers around, so it becomes like a staging area to get photos taken of the family on Tet morning. And this is a tree that's just growing out of the ground in their house. Yeah, so you got yellow all over the place. And then the cities, this is just a small village, that one of those two villages I pointed out on the map, where there's beautiful lit up decorations everywhere you go for Tet. This was in Nha Ye. Yeah. That's a dragon, great big dragon. Now, this is really pretty and remarkable, but Ho Chi Minh, which is the largest city in Vietnam, their lights are fantastic. We didn't go in there at night to see that. I've been in Ho Chi Minh for years past, and it's fantastic too. That's a giant wooden dragon there. I like that photo because of the way the sun set. It's just, the oranges were just brilliant. And you can see too, like, as you go down the street, they have these lit up decorations all the way down the street. It's really pretty. I don't know what that means. Like 30th anniversary, I don't know. I should have just made something up to sound like I knew. Ho Chi Minh used to be Saigon. Yes, yeah. And on New Year's Eve, we went to, again, it was Nha Ye. They had a great big like fairground with a stage on it, and they had this variety show with singers and dancers, and there were like local politicians, celebrities, and it was a televised show. You could see all the cameras and everything. It was a really big production. You see there like the Soviet symbols. And this was all leading up to a fireworks display on midnight, New Year's Eve. And that's us with some of the family. There were thousands and thousands of people here. I actually ran into some people I knew here. Yeah, from a prior visit. That was pretty wild. And here's some of the fireworks. It wasn't quite like Thunder over Louisville, but it was still pretty impressive. It was about a 25-minute fireworks show. And so after that, we went back to like her parents' house, her siblings' house. And in Vietnam, they have a belief that the very first person who enters your house on New Year's Day, it like bodes well, hopefully if it's a good person, you know, to bring good luck. I wasn't aware of this tradition. Lynn wanted me to go into her mom's house, her mom and dad's house first, her two brothers' house first, her sister's house first. And just contemporaneously, I was asked to like give them like a well wishes, a blessing, you know, and I really had to think on my feet. And Lynn translated for me for each one, but that was kind of neat. I didn't even know I was going to be doing this presentation when I was in Vietnam, much less know that I was going to go in their homes first. So there's no photographic evidence of this. You'll just have to believe me. But along those lines, last time we went to Vietnam in 2019 for her brother's wedding, I was given the honor of bearing the ceremonial tea tray, which has great significance at these weddings. And underneath this cloth, there are teacups, tea saucers, some other things too. And so anyway, I led the procession of the groom's entire family and friends. So it was quite an honor. So it was a similar kind of concept when they were asking me to go into their homes and hopefully give them good luck for the year. So Dan, did you have a question? Go ahead. Yeah. The U of L cap was red and yellow, so it worked in perfectly with the Tet theme. Well, the very first time I went to Vietnam in 2009, we went on a little motor scooter trip to a beach about 2 hours away, and I meet this young man who's climbing up a coconut tree and then cutting it open for us to drink coconut juice, and he had a U of L hat on. And I thought, what are the odds of this? It's amazing. It ends up, he was a relative of the people that I drove on that 2-hour trip with, and they gave him the U of L hat. So I'm doing the best I can, Dan, to get the word out over there. One of my other friends who was at the rehearsal on Thursday, I did a rehearsal for this. she asked, why are you always wearing like long sleeve shirts, long pants, and a hat? Is it cool over there? It's quite the opposite. It's a steam bath over there, but you wear long clothes to keep the sun from hitting you hard. Is it like that in Honduras? Yeah. So anyway, that's why I'm always wearing a long sleeve. And actually, it was a little cooler then. This is around midnight. So the next day, New Year's Day, the first thing that you do is you visit grave sites for loved ones and relatives who passed away. And this was a hot day too, even though it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. That's her dad there on the left. Look what he's got there, a cigarette in his hand. When he came to visit us in America, he had a series of strokes while he was here. And we think, me and Lynn think, that him having those strokes here probably saved his life. Had they happened over in Vietnam, they probably would have just thrown some aspirin at him and not even done any diagnostic work on him. So anyway, while he was here, he gave up smoking. When he came back to Vietnam, he's around all of his siblings and all of his friends, and they're smoking all the time. You smell it, you can almost taste it. So he's back to smoking. Anyway, so that it was very, very hot that day, and all the yeah.
Those little, are those like?
Yes, 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 exactly. Yeah, there. This picture here, I'm actually lighting the incense right here, and you'll note too that the tombs are all above ground. That's because they have a high water level in the Mekong River Valley. It's similar to New Orleans. You know, you'll see them buried above ground. And each home has a little altar too. And around Tet, you put fruit there and like gifts, and all of these are for the deceased. That's the altar at Lynn's mom and dad's house. This is one of her neighbors, Ann, who came over and did a blessing. And then they have food. All that food's dedicated for the deceased. And you don't touch it during that 3-day like high Tet period. You'll see here there's some bags of things here. We'll return to those in just a moment. Well, here we'll return to them now. Another Tet tradition is you burn things that the deceased might need in the afterlife. Because when it's burnt and it's like the smoky and ethereal, it can transfer to the afterlife. That's what the tradition is. So that's another part of Tet, is they burn things for the deceased so that they can use them in the afterlife. You take family pictures. Everyone has like their new clothes on or their best clothes on. So let me just point out a few people. That's her brother, her nephew, her sister-in-law. These three are a family. Nan, her mom, that's their son. These three are a unit. The husband's not there. That's Tom. His mom and dad weren't there. They're both dealing with cancer and dealing with cancer treatment. So they weren't able to join us for a lot. And then that's her sister-in-law, their son Duk, their daughter An, their daughter Me. These four are a unit. There's Lynn, her mom. That's Tom. She's married to Tao, and that's Cookie.
He's pretty tall.
He's tall. He's about a half-inch taller than me, and I'm a giant over there. I'm considered a giant. So anyway, that everyone gets their picture taken in front of the apricot tree. And the ladies here, Lynn's mom and Mui, her sister-in-law, have on what are called ao yais. These are silk dresses that go all the way to the floor. They have like embroidery, beautiful embroidery on them. And then there's like a white pants, silk pants that go down. And that's, we don't know them, but I just got that off the internet. But that's kind of like what the ao yais look like. Yeah. Okay, this might be some of y'all's favorite part of the presentation. This is a tray of traditional Vietnamese candy that's given out at Tet. And in your envelope or your bag here, you each have a sample of this. So you're welcome to take this home. Yeah, feel free to eat. Yeah, how are those, Margaret? Yeah. Now, some of them, some of the bags have watermelon seeds in them. And what you do with those, it's kind of like sunflower seeds. You like crunch them open with your teeth, and then there's like a little meat on the inside. And that's what you eat. You don't eat the exterior seed. But so anyway, enjoy that. There's a few extra too if any of you want to take some home for your grandkids or like any of your grandkids, Mary Jo. And another part of TED is you go visit relatives like all day long. There's always somebody home to entertain guests. Similarly, you always leave somebody back at Lynn's mom and dad's house so they can entertain guests. And you don't announce when you're coming. You just show up anytime you want. And whoever you go visit, there's like an understood contract that they'll provide you snacks and drinks. They're not going to feed you a meal, but they're always going to bring out snacks and treats. So this is some of Lynn's relatives that we visited. These boys don't speak English. My Vietnamese isn't very good at all, but play is a universal language. So I got to play with these boys for about 2 hours. We were making paper airplanes, throwing them to see which one could throw it the farthest. So we had a really good time. There's my Louisville hat, Dan, there again. This is her cousin. He carved this design in a watermelon. You can see the makings of a dragon right there. And I was saying earlier how I'm a giant. See how big I am compared to... These are some of Lynn's neighbors that we visited. This was that gentleman who did the blessing. His name's An. He's kind of like a wise man in the community. This was a woman Lynn used to go to school with. We visited her family. They have what's called the dragon dance, where people wear these dragon outfits. They have this loud, traditional Vietnamese music, and then hopefully people will donate to them. So a group very similar to this went right past us one day. This photo was almost an international incident. All right. What? They're gambling. Gambling is illegal in Vietnam. Lynn thought that during Tet, there's a 3-day grace period where the police don't care if you gamble. They look the other way if you gamble. That's not, I found out later that wasn't true. So earlier that we were looking for something to do, like to continue the celebration towards the end of the day. So Lynn says, "Do y'all want to go to a casino?" I said, "Yeah, let's go to a casino." I was envisioning something in Las Vegas or Atlantic City or the one in Elizabeth, Indiana. And all it is, it's like a cafe where they move all the tables and all the chairs and they set up all of these games on the floor. You're not supposed to take photos at the casino because it's illegal. So I took this photo, and you could hear this woman here was catching on to what was going on. Everybody else was so into their gambling, but you could hear like a movement of discomfort and concern from everybody else. So I quickly put the camera away. Luckily, they didn't confiscate it. But anyway, Lynn's brothers. That's her brother Tao, her brother Hung, her brother Jang. They're all really into gambling. They really enjoyed it. They even gamble at home. That's part of the tradition too. This is a particular game where there's like these dice, like there's 3 dice here, and you put money down on whichever you think is going to show up on the dice. And if you're like, if I put money on the fish and one of the fish comes up on the dice, I win that money, that amount of money from the dealer. If the fish doesn't come up, the dealer gets that money. So Lynn's family was playing that game. And I like this picture too, because you can just see how intense they all are. They're all like so fun. And here's the money. Pam, you could put some money down on that if you get in a gambling game. And they're even eating like some of the watermelon seeds there too, and other candies. So that was one game, and then another game was similar to bingo. We did good. I didn't do good at these games, and one of my friends pointed out, even though it was bad luck for me, it was good luck for them. So it was in the tradition of Tet that I brought them good luck. All right, so we're going to go to another section now on excursions. Does anybody have any questions about Tet? Let me add one other thing about Tet. During the 3 days of Tet, there's the New Year's Day proper, New Year's Eve, and then the day before New Year's Eve. So there's like 3 days where it's most intensely celebrated. During those 3 days, you're not supposed to sweep the house. Like, so there's like watermelon seed shells everywhere or other things. And I once made the mistake, I want to do something to contribute. I'm not cooking, you know, so I got the broom out and started sweeping. And Lynn came up to me and said, don't sweep, don't sweep. You're supposed to leave everything there. Does anybody have any idea, want to guess why you do that? Somebody? Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like if there's good luck in the house, you don't want to sweep it out. And it's also related to the ancestors somehow too. I forget what it was. Is it Darla? I'm sorry, what's your name? Thank you, Felicia. Thanks, Felicia. So anyway, I thought that was interesting too. So any other questions before we get on to some excursions? Does anybody know what time it is? Quarter till, oh my gosh. I'll go through these pretty quick then. This is in Ho Chi Minh. This is called Landmark 81. It's the 17th largest building in the world, largest building in Vietnam. And it has a light show at night that's really cool. And this is us. We went inside, went to the very top, and we were really high up. This is Lynn's sister-in-law, Tom, her niece, Nan. You feel like you're almost in an airplane looking down at the city. And this is Ho Chi Minh. This is just a part of Ho Chi Minh.
Have they ever been there before?
No.
In that building?
No. When me and Lynn are there, it's really neat because her nieces and nephews, so much of what we do and take them to, they've never done before. So it's like an opportunity to, you know, let them see their country more and experience things. This is a Catholic church in what's called Viet, which is about 40 minutes from Lynn's parents' house. It's modeled after a traditional, like, Gothic church in Europe, but it's real beautiful. It was just completed in 2021. That's the interior of it. And they had Stations of the Cross that look just like they're Caucasian figures. They're not Asian at all. And that's how it looks lit up at night. Yeah, it's really, really neat. One of our first excursions, we flew to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. It was only about an hour flight away. You needed a passport there. You just get that the day of. This is inside the airport, a statue they had. China built this airport just recently. And in order to get to our hotel, we had to go in what's called a tutu, where we were exposed to all of the elements, and this young man drove us like and pulled us with his motor scooter. Excuse me? Oh yeah, yeah. When you go over in Cambodia and Vietnam, you see like Superman shirts, you see New York Yankees shirts, you see Spider-Man all over the place. I mean, it kind of speaks to how powerful the American economy is. Well, they usually know it's from America, and that makes them feel good. I don't know. The markets that we went to, I would see American like signage all over the place, or maybe even bootleg stuff.
But a lot of countries, so Goodwill, especially like exports, like bales of clothes. And it goes through different layers of brokers. And people get access and they pick out and they sell.
Yeah, yeah.
Goes through like levels of.
Yeah, Jerry?
Government is officially communist, is that correct?
Yeah.
But economically, they're based on a capitalistic
There are,
framework at least.
I'd say 95% of the people there are closet capitalists. Having something to sell, sometimes being aggressive with selling, yeah. This is a pass that you get to go to Angkor Wat. You can get one for like a day, a couple of days, a week, however long you want to be there. We were just there for a day. I did not take that photo, but that's like what the main Angkor Wat complex looks like. It has a big tower in the middle and then 5 towers on the corners, and they represent like 5 mountains that a lot of the Buddhist and Hindu gods resided in. It's like a mythological mountain formation, and that's some information about Angkor Wat. There's actually 12 different Angkor Wat complexes. We got to see 2 of them the day we were there. This is the main one, and I felt like Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider when I went in there. I mean, you feel like you're going in a time machine. This building was built around 1100. It's the world's largest religious structure, and it's just full of statues and monuments. And here I am with the Louisville hat again. This main tower in the middle was over 200 feet tall. That's one of the corner towers, and some of the statuary on it. This is another complex called Ba Kong. It's another part of Angkor Wat, but it's a little bit further out. And in this photo, I'm actually about 80 feet above ground when that photo was taken, because it's like up in a tower. You can see some of the statuary here. I mean, look how intricate that is. This is almost 1,000 years old, you know. Those are just some other ruins. I'm sorry, I'm going through this kind of fast. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, Lorraine.
Is it, I know it's a historical site and all that, is it still an active religious site?
No. No. Hey, Patrick, thanks for coming.
This is all carved stone.
Yes. I think I don't know enough about archaeology, but limestone, it's my understanding that it's kind of fragile when it's exposed to the elements. I mean, this stuff stood for over almost 1,000 years. I would think not, Diane, but I'm not sure. I'll look into that with you and get back to you. Yeah. Well, this is in Cambodia, which is Vietnam's neighbor, and Cambodia, parts of it were involved in the Vietnam War too. But yeah, it survived. It survived a lot. So our next excursion a few days later was to Ha Long Bay. And Jane Marie, you were there, right? Okay. This photo I got off the internet. This kind of captures what it looks like on a clear sunny day. The day we were there was very overcast and kind of cloudy. Again, I got that off the internet. This is the hotel we stayed at. It's kind of like on an island. It was a 5-star hotel. Because we went there after Tet, we got it at a huge discount because everybody else was going back to work. You know, so it was essentially empty. So her brother, the one who's up on technology, he was able to get us a good deal on that. That's what it looks like from the rear. It's called Vin Pearl is the name of that hotel. And then this was a little cruise ship we went on. It's called the Sea Octopus. And this is the itinerary where they feed you, and there's music and entertainment and everything. And that's kind of what it looked like on the inside of the ship. But the ship takes you out where you can see all of these magnificent, they're called islets, I believe. They look like the top of a mountain sticking out of the ocean. And this was it's called Titov Island. It's named after a Russian cosmonaut. His last name was Titov. I'm blanking on his first name. But he met with Ho Chi Minh on this island. That's where it's got its name. And then there's like an overlook at the top that I climbed up. And this was the view from the top of that. And the sand of T-Top Island is considered like some of the cleanest sand in Vietnam. And that's a picture of Lynn. Came out real nice on it. We went on another excursion from the cruise ship where we got on these little paddle boats to go see a cave. And then these are photos that are taken on our way to that cave. You can see how verdant and green and lush it is. I mean, it's really breathtaking. So here's Lynn and I with her brother Tao and her brother Hung, and that's the person who's like the captain of the ship. And this photo here, it kind of looks like I know what I'm doing, but in reality, we just went in circles several times, and the passengers were all kind of holding on for dear life, wanting the other person, the captain, to get back on. So we're headed towards the cave. Now we're getting off to enter the cave, and this is like the inside of the cave. It's called Sung Kot, Cave of Surprises. There's limestone in here, Diane, and when the water reflects on it, it looks like the cave's alive. And it got the name Cave of Surprises. And it's very well lit, and they've made it into kind of a tourist destination. Here we are on the inside. We didn't see this on this particular trip, but this is from a trip in 2019. This is called Pangor Falls, which is real beautiful. This was in Dalat. Did you see this, Jean Marie? All of the color tiles and everything that's made from recycled glass. And this statue, this is a person here, so you can see how tall this statue was. This is a temple that was just like 10 minutes from Lynn's mom and dad's house that we went to one day, just to see how beautiful it was. And I got there when there was a service going on. And then these are just some other statues. This one over here is about 80 feet tall. That picture really doesn't just capture how big that was. These are just some other statues we saw. This is from a temple. This was in Dalat. And the Buddha. Some other statues.
Danny, I noticed a lot of these are on pedals. The pedestal is like pedals.
I don't know what the significance of that is.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It kind of looks unique. I've never seen that.
Yeah. This was a statue dedicated to the Vietnam War. You can see these look like tank tracks to me. This is another statue close to Lynn's mom and dad's house that was dedicated to the Vietnam War. Look how big this one is. This is a person here. So these were massive. Yeah. And this is called the Christ of Vung Tau statue. Vung Tau is a resort area that a lot of the military during the Vietnam War would go to for R&R. And this was built about 30 years ago. This is from a trip from a couple of years ago I went on. But you can walk up the center there. There's a staircase there. There's a person there on the shoulder. And this is the view from up there. That's a photo I took. They have like iron spikes on Jesus's shoulders, and that's to keep people from climbing out there. I didn't need those iron spikes to have for me not to go out there. And this is just a church we stumbled upon on our way home. It hasn't opened up yet. I'm looking forward to going on the inside when they open it. This is a temple near her mom and dad's house. This is a Hindu temple in Ho Chi Minh. That's a statue in Bari. It's got a real interesting mythological story behind it. I remember the famous photo from 1963 of the monk who set himself on fire. I want to give him his proper due and pronounce his name correctly. Thich Quang Duc was his name. And the photo won a Pulitzer Prize. He was protesting the way that the Vietnamese government was treating Buddhists. And he was trying to bring attention. And this act of sacrifice where he died ended up leading to that leader's overthrow. There was it brought so much attention to what was going on. And so anyway, this is a statue. It's just breathtaking and very moving to see it. That's in Ho Chi Minh. That's a statue of Ho Chi Minh in Ho Chi Minh Square in Ho Chi Minh. Okay, any questions? We're getting ready to head to the last leg of the journey here. Any other questions or comments? Okay. This was Lynn's mom and dad's house in 2009. It was an amalgamation of corrugated steel and found lumber and mud and dirt and tile. Didn't have running water. It did have electricity. They didn't have running water. And then when Lynn comes to America, and I've found this with a lot of other Vietnamese people that I know who come to America, it means their family life gets better. And this is her parents' house now. That's at night. It's a beautiful house. It's got a covered area there to kind of expand the living area a lot more. That's what it looks like in the daytime. That's her brother Hung's house, who lives about 50 meters away. That's her sister Jang's house, her brother Kung's house, who live real close. This is furniture inside her parents' house. It's intricately carved with all these designs and dragons and everything on it. This is the room. That's actually a. Yeah. Well, they drink a lot of Heineken over there. That's actually an empty powdered milk can that they use as an ashtray. Yeah, I don't know what brand that is, but that is a beer bottle. Yes. I tell you, during Tet, I don't drink any alcohol at all, and the men over there sometimes were very forceful about wanting me to drink with them, and it was like a tug of war. Sometimes I won, sometimes I didn't. This is the room we stayed in. Her mom and dad bought a mattress, like a foam mattress pad for us about this thick. Usually on the beds, it's just a thin layer of bamboo, rolled up bamboo, or they'll sleep on the floor. So we got the royal treatment by having that cushion. This is the room her mom and dad sleeps in, and this is the original tile floor from that house I showed you in 2009. That's still a part of their new house. This is their kitchen. This is jackfruit, which is like this big. Her mom and dad grow it. And it's so heavy, it's hard to harvest it and take it to the market. So like a company or a business will drive to their house in a truck and load it up in a truck. I mean, each one's about 50, 60 pounds in weight. Yeah, they're huge. That's her mom on a ladder. She's picking pepper, and then you put the pepper out and let it dry, and she's wearing a hat, which is at the end of everybody's table, and they're made out of bamboo and banana skin. And I'm going to ask each row to pass it down. If you hold it up to a light, you can see like an artistic design inside the hat. Did you get to look at this? Okay, I'm going to put this in the back row. Oh, okay. Every row's got one. I'm sorry. I'll give this to Lorraine so she can go the other way. But This hat keeps the sun off your neck and your face, and it also repels water on the rare occasions that it rains over there. I was there 30 days and it didn't rain one day the whole time I was over there. I know, it's beautiful.
Is it because of the humidity then they get enough?
Well, they have a rainy season where they get tons of rain, but this wasn't the rainy season. So anyway, this is one of the crops that her parents sell in addition to the jackfruit. And then chum chum. This is another fruit that her family raises and then sells at the market. They'll either trade it or sell it in bulk.
Like bite-sized lychee.
I don't know what lychee is. Yeah, it reminds me of a grape, and it has a great big seed in the middle that you kind of have to work around. And it has kind of like a furry dimension. It almost looks prehistoric to me. And this is papaya that they grow. That's coconut that they grow. More chum chum. That's her brother up in a tree picking it. Yeah, they're up there. They're up there. And when we were there, chum chum wasn't ripe. These photos are like hot off the press. These were shared with me just this week. Chum chum's ripe over there now. And it's a family affair. Her sister-in-laws, her mom, her sister-in-law, her brother, they're out picking it. There's another U of L hat. Go Cards. Yeah, we gave him that, and he likes wearing it. And that's, I'm sorry? Yeah, that's you. And then that's a bunch of chum chum that they're going to take to the market. And then this fruit is called tamarind. It reminds me of a banana a little bit. But here I am trying to get some out of the tree by shaking the limb, and then it falls down. Her family remembers that I like watermelons, so when I got to their mom and dad's house, this was all for me. Exactly. Now, of course, I shared some, but that was for me. They got all that for me. And then they remembered that I like dragon fruit, also called tan long over there. And they got all that for me too. And then they also got me a bunch of mangoes. The mangoes over there are fantastic. This is what the tan long looks like when you cut it open. Usually it's white, but the kind they got was red. Yeah, do you have a question? Okay. And then we were cutting down bananas. They raise bananas on their farm too. And they have a pond near their house. If you want fresh fish, you just go out and throw a net, and then you have fresh fish. And that's her brother Coon with one of the fish he caught with the net. And that's what we had for dinner that night. There they are cleaning the fish. I like that photo. That's Lynn and her sister-in-law just looking out over the pond. And there were dogs and chickens and Planet of the Chickens. This is the cow barn there. Cows. While we were there, one of the cows had a baby, which was kind of neat. There's some goats. And again, they're always looking for something to do. And they asked me, what do you want to do tonight? I said, remember that lake we went to a few years ago? And Lynn said, yeah. I said, can we go see that lake? Next thing I know, everybody's getting on a motor scooter, and we have a convoy, like 15 of us, to go see that lake. You can see the women, most of the older women are wearing their pajamas. I mean, we decided to do this on the spur of the moment about 11 o'clock at night. But everybody was game for it, you know, and this is a photo of the lake that I took a few years ago. It was like a long exposure, came out really nice. And then we went to a beach one day. A lot of the adults and even some of the kids had never been swimming before, never been to a beach before, and to see them do that and have fun, it was really joyful.
That's the peace sign for them.
Yeah.
Seems very popular.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of my Vietnamese friends here, when you take a picture, they give the peace sign. So this wasn't on this trip, but there was a trip in 2019 where we went to a goat farm. That's real close to their parents' house. You can tell it's older because there's a lot darker hair there. And again, they're looking for something to do to get out of the house. So we went to a koi fish cafe. And yeah, and these were huge too. These were huge fish. And that's a team picture of all of us that were there for the koi cafe. No. No, they're just there for the decor. Yeah, Dan?
I was gonna ask a question, I didn't know, don't eat the fish?
Not the koi fish, no. Yeah, they're mainly there for decoration. How'd I feel? Yeah, the only time I had issues was when we ate food from like a cafe that was on the side of the road where dogs are walking around. They're not keeping up with the best hygiene. There's all these car fumes and motor scooter fumes going by. So anyway, this is a decoration inside that koi fish cafe. Her sister, Jang, lives and works right next to this temple. And this temple, well, they have an altar where the monks go, the Buddhist monks go and pray, but they also collect herbs and tree branches and bushes, and they shred it. And then there's a team of volunteers who like separate it, and they create these bags that you then boil, and then you drink it. It's kind of like a tea. These are like kind of like tea leaves in a way. And they have what I'll call a shaman that you sit down with, and he touches your wrist, and then he diagnoses your medical issues. And then he prescribes what combination of herbs that you should drink from to treat that ailment. And my wife swears by it. To me, I don't see how it could work scientifically, but she swears by it, and she drinks it twice a day. And she says that it helps her a lot. This is the cafe that her sister works in. There's so many people that come to that temple to see that shaman and to get these herbs that there's businesses all around it. And her sister there serves like snacks and drinks, and then there's like these hammocks where, like, as you're waiting to get the herbs made, you can relax in the hammock. It's interesting. Look at this family here. I don't know these people, but all three of them are like absorbed with their smartphone. All three of them. They should be interacting with each other, you know. So anyway, we went out to breakfast together one morning. We went to another cafe that was kind of had an island thing going on. This was not too far from her parents' house. And these are some of the flowers that are in her parents' yard. Yeah, they're gorgeous. Yeah. And we're almost done here. I want to share a little story about this little girl on the left. I don't know her name, but back here is an ice cream bin. And eating ice cream there is a real treat. And so anyway, Lynn and I were trying to treat her nieces and nephews to ice cream, and her family, brothers and sisters, any chance we got. So we made a little trip to this store in Nye. And this little girl comes walking in, and she had her school books and stuff, and it had a Captain America folder. So I thought, hey, this kid's pretty cool, you know, because I'm a big comic book nerd. And I know just enough Vietnamese to say, hi, how are you? And Happy New Year. And she, wait till the last slide. She looked up at her mom like, is it okay if I say hi to this guy? And so she did. And anyway, we gave her an ice cream at the end, and she was like real happy. And oh, Yeah, you never know how you can like touch somebody's life with such a simple gesture. This was one of Nan's nieces. Her name was Yen. She was real friendly. She's got the cutest dimples. We went there one night for dinner. And this is the last story we'll have before we adjourn. The day before we left, I thought it'll be kind of cool to go to An's school and surprise her. And this is kind of what the school looks like. They have classrooms with an open courtyard. And her father, who had never been to that school, he gave me a ride there on the motor scooter. And so we were walking from like room to room, looking in, trying to find her, because he'd never been to the school. He didn't know what classroom she was in. And as I was walking past each classroom, you could hear like the excitement building up because this strange, tall person with a Louisville hat was walking through. And so eventually we found her, and class ended not with a bell, but with a drum. Went dong, dong, and all the kids went running out. It was like Black Friday at Walmart. It was like that much energy and excitement. So anyway, I got this picture with An, and about 25 other kids were like on the periphery, and they were just thrilled, excited that I was there. And so I went like this to them after the photo was taken, and then this is what happened. You can see all the peace signs, and so that was really special too. Yeah. And this was the last night before we went. We had like one big dinner with them, and went back to the airport. This is the sun setting on my story, the sun setting at her parents' farm. That photo I just took with my phone, Anne. Yeah. Yeah. And here we are getting ready to go back. Lynn had her hair cut. And here we are with 4 of those boxes weighing 49.99 pounds again to take back. And that's it. So come on, retinue is to thank everybody very much. Library support, Harriet had left. Airport rides, Nayland and Diane. Cat sitting, we got Mary Jo Moore. Recording, Joe Boone. Photos were donated and contributed by her family there. Transportation over there, these were her brothers and her dad. No, just her brothers. Housing provided by her mom and dad. Meals provided by all of her sister-in-laws and her mother and her sister. And then translation was from her niece and Lynn. So. Thank you. Come on, retinue. Have to talk about what? It's very strong. Yeah, very strong. In fact, when we were giving out lucky money, we were collecting fresh bills from American banks for months and months and months, because not only is American money very valuable there, but new American money is. It's even more valuable. So, I don't know. Her relatives were thrilled to get lucky money from us. People ask questions about how do they fit all these things on these motor scooters. I've seen cows on motor scooters. I've seen pigs. I've seen refrigerators. Eggs, yeah, everything. Washers and dryers. So you see that it's not unusual. And then sometimes you see entire families of 5 or 6 people on a single motor scooter. And this photo shows like what traffic is like in Ho Chi Minh. Yeah. So, does anybody have any questions? Or yeah, Dan? Buddhist and Hindu. And I would say that those two are combined about 80%, and then the other 20% is probably Christian. mainly Roman Catholic. A lot of Catholic churches are, that church I showed you before that looked like a cathedral, that's built with American money that's sent back to Vietnam to try to spread Catholicism over there. Yeah.
Is there like a virus or a corona?
That's a good question. I've been going to Vietnam since 2009. They were wearing masks in 2009, and it's not because of COVID, it's because of all the pollution. And you'll also notice there too, you don't see very many people with short sleeve shirts on. When they go out on their motor scooter, they usually cover their entire bodies. They'll wear gloves. They'll put the mask on. They'll cover their face, and all that's to protect themselves from the sun. But when I was over there, there were a few people that were wearing masks because of COVID, but not too many. Did you have a question? Okay. Any other questions or yeah, Pam? Two of the boxes were filled with this. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what exactly stands for health?
Yeah. Well, we fit this in there. We also used it. Yeah. And we also like put some of our luggage in there too, like so we didn't have as much to carry. We do have clothes over there. No, I may have misled you all that the boxes we brought back were not 50 pounds each. They were actually, Mary Jo, you want to take a few for your grandkids? Yeah. I mean, we got tons of them. You're welcome. You want some of the candy to take too? Oh, before you all leave, and I'll be glad to talk to you all you want. Would you mind if we got a group shot, a group photo in front of the first slide? It's optional. If y'all don't want to, you can. But if anybody would feel comfortable doing that, I'd love to get a photo of everybody up here. Yeah, you can hold up your lucky money. Thanks for coming, Patrick. Did you get you some lucky money and some Vietnamese candy?